Hello? Hello? Oh God, I'm dead, lost in the void, doomed to drift where all forgotten memes go.
Murdoch? Is that you?
Dr. Murdoch!
I'm here too, you bastards!
So is this heaven or Valhalla?
Neither. I think we've been summoned back from the void.
We've come back, just like Piers.
You guys look! We're on somebody else's page!
Look, there's a bunch of videos about us.
Not only did we get away with making a shitty cartoon, but people are documenting it too? Truly, we live in a fallen world.
But if we're not dead, that means we still live in the hearts and minds of all those people.
You guys, look what year it is. It's the 10-year anniversary of when we started the show.
Who's this Scottish guy that owns the channel?
It's probably some glow-op fed honeypot.
You guys, anybody who's anybody on the alt-right eventually turns out to be a fed honeypot glow-up. This is our chance at the big leagues!
Yeah!
Finally, we can farm some clout.
But wait, what if instead of baiting our audience into a fed honey glow-up, we just write them some nice letters?
You mean we get to mail letters like Uncle Ted?
I think a letter is a great idea, Murdoch. After all, our flame only lives on because they keep it alight.
Is it me? Or is it just so good to hear their voices again? In my last Murdoch video, which was the review of Murdoch's book, Always the Horizon, I knew deep down that Murdoch was watching, so I wanted to use the video as a means to reach out to the creators directly and hope that they might want to make their voices heard again. And I didn't expect much, considering I've got this little YouTube channel with only 6,000 subscribers. Maybe if you subscribed too, you could also be a part of my fed glow-up honeypot. And also there's a hype feature in YouTube, which I don't actually understand how to do it or how it works. But if you can figure it out, please do that as well. After some time following the book review, I received an email. And you might think at first I would be skeptical of a random email claiming to be Murdoch. But deep down, I knew instantly it was who he said he was. And to top things off, he signed off with an attachment only he could possess, a high quality stencil which would have been used in the creation of the show. In one of his emails he said, "I saw your video about my show and recently the episode about my book, Always the Horizon. Your words are very kind. Thank you for bringing light on our memes. I've been working on a small little piece, just a collection of memories and thoughts about my journey in a spiritual and ontological development. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, but Murdoch-chan told me she liked the idea. I'm going to have Murdoch-chan and Dr. Murdoch write whatever they want in the foreword before it gets to my piece. I'm not sure whether I should or shouldn't give the piece a name, and it's quite small, and I think I like to name it Grace and the Abyss. Initially I was going to post it on 4chan, but after I listened to your closing statements on your analysis of Always the Horizon, I felt like it would be cool to directly contact you. I've attached a high-res image file I used in the show within this email to verify it's me. Let me know if you'd like to be the one to give this to the community." And I was immediately intrigued. We have this unreleased material. How long have they been thinking about this? And for me to be the one, to be the vessel for which this material is spread, how could I say no? This is like finding the Dead Sea Scrolls, except it's not totally fake and gay. It really is a privilege and an honour for me to be the one to do this. Murdoch continued in one of our emails. He said, "I like how during your review on Always the Horizon you said you disagreed with my conclusions on Christianity. It's very interesting that you would say that, as Grace and the Abyss will deal extensively about my pursuit in understanding Christ. I didn't even want to release it. I wrote it and felt like it was too personal. But after I heard you say that you disagreed with me, yet fully understood Always the Horizon, it felt like reality told me, no, you should release it." And so what is Grace and the Abyss? Well, as he said, it's more of a memoir of before, during and after the show of his spiritual and ontological path. And I've had the pleasure of reading it in full. And I've decided that while I said I would do an audiobook of Always the Horizon, which I do still plan to do. I think since this is hot off the press, this should take my full attention. Also, it's a lot shorter than Always the Horizon, about a quarter the size, and I think I like the idea of doing something on a smaller scale before starting a much larger endeavour of something I've never actually attempted. What I would like to read to you now, at least, are the forewords that preface this short reflection piece. And we have forewords of all three of the main cast. Within Dr. Murdoch's foreword, it reads, 10 years ago, I joined my friends in making a series of satirical meme videos about the then current state of the West. In the beginning, we only wanted to make people laugh at those responsible for the decline of our society. In time, we found the ability to evoke something other than laughter, to make viewers feel how we felt, to take them on an emotional journey through the spiritual collapse of our culture. But this would all be meaningless without something to aspire to. So we attempted to inspire our viewers, sometimes towards self-improvement, other times towards social change, but always towards a victory that I didn't always believe possible. The show evolved from a comedy into a weapon for fighting the despair of our situation. 10 years later, and while the situation has changed dramatically, it is no less precarious than it was when we started. Too many still look to the politicians to save them. Too many still profess allegiance to a political party. Too many are still stuck in the false dichotomies of left and right, Christian and pagan, or even American and European. Thankfully though, many are coming to realise, as we did, that the relevant distinction for making sense of the world is
Brazilian
and Gentile. And as
Brazilian
tighten their grip on power, it becomes easier and easier to notice that power and then to point it out to others. Our victory is not yet a fait accompli. However, we must continue the struggle until we are free from their yoke forever. While the state of the world may have changed dramatically since we ended the series, the nature of the underlying conflict remains the same today as it ever has. So as we look back at the 10-year anniversary of Murdoch, we must keep our eyes forward, looking toward the next decade of struggle and the decade after that, and so on until ultimate victory is achieved. Never slacken, never tire, never lose courage, never lose faith. That's a very powerful message from Dr. Murdoch, and I hope he doesn't mind my accent adding my own flair to that. Murdoch Chan's forward, it only seems to say TKD. And that's all it says. What could TKD mean? If you know, don't comment down below. YouTube will not appreciate those sort of comments. Perhaps you should leave a comment instead about your favourite Murdoch moments, or perhaps a message you want to give the cast, as I'm sure that they will be watching this video as well. Maybe TKD means Taekwondo, and Murdoch Chan was just mesmerised when she saw the unstoppable power of my kicks. And lastly, and certainly not least, Murdoch's very own preface to his memoir. I'm on break, cracking jokes with my Zoomer friends as we scroll through the headlines on our phones. One of them reads something about the noticing, and I mutter, based. They shoot a look at me, and one of them laughs. Based? What do you know about that word, boomer? I just grin, letting the jab roll off. How could I even begin to tell them about everything that happened? Even if I wanted to, there aren't words to capture what it was like. We joke about the state of the modern world, drift into philosophy, into history. I find myself trying, in subtle ways, to pass on the things we learned back then. And yet, these days, it feels like the world itself is catching up. Conversations that once lived in the shadows, now spilling into the open. Back when our work first started to surface, no one dared to speak that openly. But we won the meme war. Somehow, all you crazy bastard dreamed and memed enough that we held back the night. At least for a while. I know the real war hasn't been won, not even close. But you heard the call, not one step back. The future is filled with peril, but that the first step has been made. Maybe that first step was always the hardest, because in those early days, it felt like everything was doom. I think back to when I was first beginning to understand things on the chans. I remember making a thread asking, why isn't anyone talking about this? How are people just okay with Europe becoming a slum? Why is it celebrated when we're told we have no future? I was genuinely scared back then. I remember the replies too. People saying there was nothing that could be done. So many were blackpilled. But every day, more and more of you joined the fold. I don't know how much our little art project really did, but I do know how much it meant to me, and I'm overjoyed that I got to play even a small part in it. Thank you for believing. Murdoch was supposed to die, to be forgotten. That was the price. But because of you, he lives on. A meme doesn't die unless it's forgotten. And I see now that he and his friends are still alive in your hearts. I wrote something for you, something personal. It's not propaganda, and it's not meant to convince anyone of anything. It's just my story, my reflections on spirituality and the search for truth. More than anything, it's a letter to my comrades. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being so based and so beautiful. I hope you're excited for Grace and the Abyss. It's not very long, so I hope it doesn't take me too long to get this out. And I know a lot of you are just hoping for a new episode or a new AMA or just anything. I know you just want to hear the three of them together. And I don't know what the future holds. I really don't. I will continue to liaise with them for as long as they wish to do so, and I will do my best to bring them back out of the void, even if just for a moment. I need to consider the best way to release Grace and the Abyss as well as the YouTube video I plan to do. I've made a Telegram, the link's in the description down below. I think that'll be the easiest way for me to pull everything together and just release it as a PDF with all the artwork that was provided to me. And if you want to be a part of my Fed Glow Up Honeypot, as I said, do the thing that algorithm likes. Murdoch never dies.
Strange that the chain of causality begun with the Big Bang has come to this. A mimetic war for the survival of man.
Do you think we have a chance of winning, Pierce?
No. Man is limited in scope. Our hubris will lead us to our own extinction. But not yet. We as a race have much more to accomplish before the end. 1,000 years from now, our descendants will have ventured out and conquered as yet unknown worlds.
Conquer planets? We can't even conquer Twitter.
But Murdoch, we already have. We have forced them to show their bias to the normies. The blue-pilled have begun to turn purple. A great awakening is underway. Hope is not yet lost.